Oh, अबे ये निकाल दूँ भाई.
But don't contact him if you have a fever. Just go get Panadol.
Every Friday morning, where do you find me? Early morning?
In the middle of the desert playing cricket.
Playing cricket.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the insights of different careers options. So my name is Muzammil Altaf, and once again I bring you another guest who is indeed studying medicine in Qatar. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Ahmed Daniyal.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for having me on here, Muzammil Altaf. As is introduced already my name is Ahmed Daniyal Nawaz. I'm originally from Pakistan, but I've been born and brought up all my life here in Qatar, where I did my high school, and currently I'm doing in my final year of medical school, about to graduate, hopefully by next year June.
Oh, that's amazing, alhamdulillah. So Daniyal, well, thank you for coming for
My
this
pleasure.
very important talk today.
And beneficial as well.
Very beneficial, inshallah. So let's start right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first question is, how did we meet?
I think we met before our memory, until before we remember, I would say, I think we went to the same KG prep school.
Okay.
So I would probably say that where our memories stop, before that we had already met, which we don't remember. So I would probably say I think from the KG prep until year 3, we were in the same school, same class. And then after that, I think in year 7, we went to the same school all the way until year 13.
Okay. Should we tell them what legendary school we went to?
Oh, yes.
This school was the best school in Qatar. At that moment.
At that moment.
We were there, so
we were there. That good school, courtesy of the students there.
Of just us two, yeah?
Yeah, Mithai International School.
Okay, so tell us about yourself. What did you study and why did you choose to study medicine?
Okay, so as you know, up until year 10, usually we have the common subjects that everyone takes, and then we did IGCSEs, which is a British system, O-level, A-level, and in it, in my IGCSEs, where we had about 9 subjects we could take, I took mainly the sciences and maths, but at the time I did not have a clear idea where I want to go. But I just took the science and maths because, South Asian background, that's a default setting, that's locked into all students. So once I completed my year 11 and was going to year 12 A-levels, at that time I had decided I will not do engineering. I was very clear about that. And it was either between business, I had a personal interest in business, that kind of thing, or it would be something related to science, but I had not been sure about that. So again, what I did was I took 3 sciences and I took maths, because I wanted to have something to do with science, and I had ruled out engineering from the start. So that's why I kept biology. And then during my year 12, I got to learn a bit more, and I found out that here in Qatar there's a very nice opportunity in the College of Medicine, and probably somewhere halfway between year 12, at the end of year 12, sorry, year 13, where I pretty much finalized that I will probably now aim to go into medicine. And I would say that's how I would say, quite late on I would say actually, but that's how I decided I would go into medicine.
So you said you went into medicine. Could you tell us what you need to get into medicine? What kind of subjects, what kind of person do you have to be to enter medicine?
Right, got it. So in terms of subjects, I can talk about my experiences from here. This is where I applied here in Qatar. So in Qatar University, ideally they need you to have at least any 2 of the 3 science subjects. So 2 of chemistry, physics, biology, and a math subject as well. This is mandatory in your A-levels, AS and A2. And in your IGCSE, ideally you should have the 3 sciences and maths along with some other subjects, English and etc. So this is what's here in Qatar. Worldwide, generally this is most commonly the subjects they need, sciences and maths, but it might vary slightly. In terms of what type of person you need to be, in other universities outside, they do greatly care about your extracurricular activities, any volunteering you've been done, any observerships that you've done, any kind of volunteering, clinics, rotation that you've done, it always helps. Me personally, in our local QP hospital, I did for a period of about 2 weeks. However, what I found was that currently, so far from what I know till now, in Qatar University, they don't usually take in those documents. So it's mainly based on your academia as well as your other results that you give for IELTS and SATs, for example. But outside, definitely do look into. So they're looking for someone who's, I would say, obviously academically he's been performing well. At the same time, he has had some exposure to the medical field. So ideally, he's been in a hospital, he's done some observership, so that he has an idea of what he's getting into. So I would say those things usually do help someone who is interested in medicine or is wanting to apply to medicine.
Okay, now that you've done almost 6 years of medical school, is it?
Yeah.
So what would you recommend them? What kind of people should be getting into medicine? And what kind of things should you warn them about?
Right. Okay. So
It's a very
it's nothing to scare them.
Okay.
Firstly, I would say not to scare them at all. And so you're saying something to warn them about and what kind of person. Look, there is a notion that you have to be extremely intelligent and to be into medicine, which is absolutely not true. I believe there's a big distinction between being intelligent and being smart, and that's important to know. Someone who's smart knows that maybe intellectually he might not be at the same level as someone, i.e. he needs a bit more time to work and study, but because he's smart, he will start studying a bit earlier than others, and therefore he'll be able to cover up. That's a smart person. That's the kind of person who will do well in medicine. Intelligent people do well, but more than intelligence, what you need is hard work, dedication, and consistency, which are skills that are developed, not something inherent. So that's why I would say anyone who does, and definitely I would say do have an interest of the field. 6 years is a long time. First year, second year, the hype and all of that will get you through. But once you get in the middle of it, in the thick of it, then you need that internal motivation, internal love for the field that helps you to go through. So definitely, I would say if you have an interest, then, and if you're not sure, go and do some rotation in the hospital. See how the doctors are working and living. Maybe the lifestyle is something that you're not looking into. So I would say definitely look into that. And warning, there's nothing to warn them about. Just said, obviously, as you know, the common things, do be ready that obviously compared to other other students, you will be studying harder. You yourself have studied veterinary, doctoral field, you will know probably compared to others might be studying business, and that the workload will be heavier. You will be definitely short on time. And especially in your case, you were living away from your family for so long, so you will have to make those sacrifices. Alhamdulillah, I was very, very lucky. I consider it probably the most luckiest part of my life that I was able to do medicine next to my parents. Very lucky. But for those who are not, that is a big sacrifice you will have to make, and you will not have that much opportunities to come back in wisdom. So those are the things you need to keep in mind. Workload, probably have to give up some of your extracurricular activities, but definitely it is manageable. You don't need to be 24/7 in the book, absolutely not. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. Great answer.
Thank you.
Amazing. So let's say now that you're in university, first year, second year,
Yeah.
what was the main content of your course? What did they teach you, and how was the program in terms of the education, practical life, stuff like that?
Right. So in terms of the program, if you talk about here in Qatar, they've usually divided it into 3 phases. So the first phase is kind of like a transitional, which is basically trying to get you up to speed from high school to College of Medicine. And so generally in the first year, what we end up doing is we end up doing the whole body system, but in a very brief manner. So maybe a week or two about the heart, about the lungs, about the kidneys, about the brain. And then along with that, we have some other courses. We do something known as biostatistics, which is about research papers and analysis and all of that. We do about biochemistry, which is all about your small enzymes and all of that. Most people in biology, they would know what I'm talking about, and chemistry as well. And then there are some other courses, genetics, a bit of that as well. And then the second phase, which is from year 2, year 3, and the first half of year 4, it's kind of like your basic sciences. So now you're going to study in depth all the body systems, all the organs. So from your heart, lungs, brain, digestive system, kidneys, muscles and skeleton, neuroscience. You'll study everything in detail. And then the last 2.5 years is what you will spend in the hospital, as you did similarly, which is rotations. So then you will rotate in different departments, medicine, different surgical departments, psychiatry department, emergency department, the healthcare centers. You might go into obstetric and gynecology department. So then you do these rotations in your last 2.5 years, and that finally completes your 6 years of medical school.
All right, that's great. So Dani, you said last 2 years you spent at the hospital doing rotations.
Yeah.
Particularly, which rotation was your favorite, and why was it your favorite?
Specifically, I would say 2 rotations that I enjoyed the most. One was in internal medicine, which is basically generally when any patient gets admitted to the hospital with a medical disease, i.e. a non-surgical, most likely he goes into the medicine ward.
Okay.
So the reason I liked it is because as students, that was the first real time where we had responsibility of the patients. You were in charge of taking history from the patient, finding out what's wrong with him, and trying to explain to him what's going on. And then you go back to the doctor and you discuss the patient plans. And that was something very exciting for you to do. It's kind of like, when you give new toy to a baby and he gets excited. It was something similar on that. The second one I enjoyed was orthopedic surgery, which was also one of the things I was considering to apply. And because in orthopedic surgery, I had an initial interest because of the mechanics of the body, the bones, that was something of my interest. And secondly, I had great exposure in the surgery, in the theatre. I was able to be a member of the surgical team, taking part in surgery which is 6-7 hours long. I got to do a variety of different techniques as well in it. So that was something exciting for any medical student. Those are the two ones I would say I enjoyed the most.
Okay, that's good. So, Danny, one last question about medical school.
Yeah.
Now that you're in rotations, was there any moment when you were treating the patients which really touched your heart? Because we know you deal with a lot of people's problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, there will be some moments where some patients really touch you.
Mm.
So, was there any moment like this? And if there was, how was it? What was it? If you can say it here.
I would say. Probably, I think one moment comes to my mind when we were and this is mostly about the importance of, teamwork in medicine, all of that, was that, and how powerful a doctor's word can be for the patients. So I remember we were rotating in medicine, and we had one patient, he basically had kidney failures, kidneys had failed. And he, in the past 2 years ago, he also had, unfortunately, a tumor, cancer. But he had gone into remission. But unfortunately, with his new admission, we retested him and we found out that the tumor was back. So when we went there, we talked to him about his kidney, and we then told him that, we have some other news as well. And I would say the doctor was a bit blunt in saying that, but he did say that, you have a tumor. And as a result, that guy absolutely broke down and started crying. Probably one of the first time I've seen a grown adult man crying without any control in front of my eyes. And I think that was something quite, realizing, quite a powerful experience to know how powerful your words can be. For you, it might just be another patient in the list of 50 who's suffering from cancer. But for that patient, that might be the worst news of his life.
Mm.
So, always when we treat patients, we are thinking from the doctor's perspective. It's just another list, another number in your list of 20 patients. We fail to think that for that patient, this is his whole life, what he's going through. So that was something quite powerful, that the importance of being able to think and feel from the patient's perspective. That's something I will always remember from my life.
That's amazing. Okay, next question is, now that you finished medical school, or you're about to finish medical school, what's the next step after you finish medical school? What do you usually graduates do?
Butcher shop. No, I'm looking currently applying Uber license. So basically, it depends on where you want to do. Me being here in Qatar, we have a good opportunity with the local healthcare system, the Ahmed hospital. It has one of the strongest training programs outside of the US, and we have a good opportunity to work here. So this is where I'm currently applying. However, you can go abroad as well. For the US, there is something known as the United States Medical Licensing Examinations, also known as USMLE. It's a 2-part exam. When you do both of them and you get the sufficient score required, you can apply to the US. You can try there. For those who have graduated, there's another exam known as the PLAB, which is specifically for the UK. There's another very hotspot or avenue where medical graduates usually go to if they were trying to go abroad. So that's also an opportunity you can avail. And then, or you can stay wherever you've done, you can continue there. Normally, once you finish medical school, you try to pick a path where you want to further specialize in. So, for example, if you're interested in any surgical field, you can pick, I want to go into general surgery, I want to go into neurosurgery for the brain, orthopedics for the bone, urology for the kidney, or you might want to go into medicine, psychiatry, neurology, doctor for the brain, and usually it lasts from about 4 to 7 years training. Surgical specialty is usually 5-6 years, others about 4 years. So these training programs last for 4 years, and you end up doing a basic training in them. Then after that, when you finished, for example, if you finish orthopedic surgery, you might opt to further specialize. For example, you want to become a master of the spine surgeon, you want to become a master of the knee surgeon. Or for me, in my case, as I apply to medicine, if I get in, inshallah, then in medicine, once you finish 4 years of general training, you can specialize to become a cardiologist, so specialist for the heart, for the pulmonologist for the lungs, for the kidneys, for the infections. So a lot of those things. So it's a long road ahead. Some people say it's just the beginning. It's the end of one chapter, beginning of another chapter.
So basically what you're saying is you study for life.
Exactly.
You don't stop.
No. Up until age of 30, at least, I'll still be giving exams.
So until you lose all your hair, that's when you stop.
I've started losing already, man. And to be honest, stop thinking about that. But you're absolutely right. That's one of the things to keep in mind when you come into medicine. Be prepared to study.
Okay, so what do you recommend if there's opportunities for medical students outside of Qatar? Where do you recommend they should go?
So, I think it depends on their circumstances. If they have the liberty and the luxury to go abroad, I would definitely say currently, as we speak, US is the best place to practice. In the sense that if you do your initial training in the US, the certificate that you will get, the license certificate, that is applicable anywhere in the world. So currently when we work in Ahmed, the exams we give, they're applicable within the Arab region. So I cannot go to the US and start working as a doctor there with this certificates. I'll either have to do some more exams there or forever, etc. But once you've studied in the US, you can go anywhere of the globe and everyone will accept you. So that's one of the best places, US. Canada is also a nice option, but it's very stringent. Their procedures are quite difficult to get in. UK is another option which is slightly more lenient and easier to get in as compared to the US. And then especially in the Arab world, anyone who studied within the Arab region, Hamad Hospital here in Qatar is actually one of the most sought after avenues after the US to apply and work here because of the quality of the program. So that's a nice avenue to explore as well.
Okay. Last question, Daniyal.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're hungry. I know
No.
Last question is, what do you think is the current market for doctors? Do we need more doctors in the world, or do we need more people to go elsewhere?
It's a good question, actually. I think it depends on where you're planning to work as a doctor. For example, if you look at countries like the UK, it's constantly facing shortages of doctors. So there definitely is a need of doctor. Similarly, in the US, the statistics show that given the ever increasing population of the US, it's about 350 odd million, the top 5 in the most populous countries. Definitely there's still a need for doctors. And overall, I would say that in any specialty that you go, if you are able to become a expertise, there will always be demand for you, regardless of if you go even in a saturated field. So it's up to you how make your demand. But generally, as a doctor, yes, there is demand over the world. Some people do regard it as a safe option to go into further because of the job stability. That can be true, that might not be true as well. But definitely in all parts of the, I would say majority parts of the world, there is a good job market, good opportunity. But I would say now, especially with the recent developments, there is a need for doctors now to be able to ensure that they're not just treating patients, they have the ability to produce researchers, ability to teach students as well, because those are some in-demand skills that are coming up right now. Especially as you know, recently with AI, many medical fields are now incorporating AI as well. And so in the future, there might be new fields and new avenues opening up. And that's what I always say, that if you see one place diminishing, there's always a new field opening with the recent technology. Now, AI is a big thing coming into medicine. And many people are now specializing in specifically AI-related medical fields. So there's always demand.
Thank you for the in-depth answer, Dani.
No worries.
Let's take a short break and come back.
Okay, perfect. I'll report the video, man. I'll report it.
Okay, with that being said, we end the podcast for today. Thank you, Daniyal, for coming on the podcast.
इसके लिए फिर से कैमरा खुला है. This is why you opened the camera again for this?
We finished with questions.
Okay. Okay, what other questions?
Thank you for coming.
That's it. No, it was my pleasure. And if anyone is interested in the field of medicine, you are more than welcome to put my email below, so if wants to get in touch.
Contact him if you want to know.
More than welcome.
But don't contact him if you have a fever, just go get Panadol.
Yeah, that's true. And probably one last thing I'd say is that there is a common misconception that once you go into medical school, you usually don't have a social life. And I think probably it's important to highlight that, because there might be some people who are interested in the field of medicine that might be a bit reluctant because of this. And all I'll mention is that you have to work for your social life. You have to create the time or else medicine will consume your time. But if you can manage your time well, there is multiple opportunities for you to do many things. For example, for myself, as you know, every Friday morning, where do you find me? Early morning?
In the middle of the desert playing cricket.
Playing cricket.
That's
how long that's been going on?
I have no idea.
Before you went to study in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
So it's been and it's still going on. You've been back, still going on. So we create times. Other than that, also during medical school, I had great opportunity to be in different organizations in Qatar University, outside of Qatar University as well. So the opportunities are there. If you're able to manage your time, you can definitely enjoy your time in medical school. It's not just all studies and this.
You heard it here first with Dani. You will have a social life if you do medicine.
Yeah, you can have it. You have to work for it, but you can have it. Quote me accurately if you quote me with it. That's all.
Okay, what's the last message for them apart from this?
Apart from this, I would say any field that they go to, apart from medicine, any field you go to, whatever you get into, sometimes you think about it, sometimes you might not, and you by accident you get into a field. Whatever you get into, I would say give it your best. Because now that you are in a field, you're studying in a university, give it your best. Because each and everyone has an opportunity, ability to do something great. And one last thing, be kind to your parents. They are the only ones who will have the greatest value for you, and they will have the greatest interest of yourself. So keep them close to yourself. They will be very valuable to you. Thank you.
That's great. As always, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Dani?
And hit that like button, subscribe, share, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell.
You're a YouTuber, man.
YouTuber, there you go.
Okay, that's great. Do comment what course you want to do next, and we'll see if we can find people. All right, Thank you. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum.